Now I would like to welcome on stage our final keynote speaker, David Jones. David is the CEO, global CEO of Havas Group. You told me once you were a British person living in New York, being the CEO of a French group, which I think makes you a multinational person by definition, a bit like INSEAD people in this room. You're also, and that's also why I invited you, and that's the way I met you. You're also the co-founder with Kate Robertson of the One Young World, which I talked about already, which many people have seen already from last year's event and Kate's presence. Some people like Paul Pullman are counselors, and he mentioned it.
4th year in a row.
4th year in a row. He mentioned it during the video. Yeah. And he's delighted to attend the next one in Johannesburg. I'll be as well delighted. The floor is yours, David. Please be inspiring to us how to make the world a better place. And Who Cares Wins, which is the title of your book.
Great, thank you. Well, I'm a radical optimist because I actually believe that all of you would rather listen to me for the next 10 minutes than go and have a drink and get some dinner. But what I am going to do to try and not be too unfair to you is I'm going to start a little timer so that that I do keep an eye on the time and I don't do one of those half-an-hour presentations. My wife, as Jean-Marc said, I'm a Brit living in New York running a French company. And my wife, who is French, and I couldn't possibly say what I'm about to say, but I'm repeating what she says, often says to me, you know, David, in Paris, nobody thinks that tomorrow is going to be better than today, and in New York, nobody thinks that tomorrow is going to be worse than today. And I think I do live in a city that is full of radical optimists. But kind of, let's start with the bad news. I think at a big picture level, we're living in the most amazing time. This is an unbelievable inflection point, and what we are living through is every bit as significant as the Industrial Revolution. And when 100 years from now, if kids still go to school, they will learn about the digital and social revolution and how it changed the world in the way we learned about the Industrial Revolution. But the bad news for those people in business who don't want to change is that you're going to become obsolete, because what we're living through is this thing that I call the age of damage. And basically what has happened is that people have been empowered by digital and social media to hold leaders and businesses accountable, to find out anything they want about them, and to create mass movements against them. And if I sort of wind back and look at the sort of 3 eras of social responsibility in business, you kind of have, 1990 to 2000 is what I call the age of image. And businesses set out to pretend they'd change, but didn't really. So they went, oh, people want us to be green, we'll pretend we're green, and it'll all be fine. And I think probably the biggest culprit of the age of image was BP. Now, I'm not saying the oil business is easy, it is not. We need that stuff, the world would stop without it. But my point is, if you are in that industry, you don't change your logo to a little flower. You don't kind of pretend you press wild daisies for a living, and you certainly don't allow yourselves to sit at the top of every single sustainability ranking, because you can't in that industry. Not criticizing that industry, but you can't. And I think the interesting thing that we learned with BP, it was the first time we really saw that if the Industrial Revolution had empowered businesses, the digital and social revolution empowered individuals. So one guy with a sense of humor on Twitter created a Twitter handle, Leroy Stick, under he used the handle actually at BP Global PR. He had 190,000 followers on Twitter. And BP, the might of one of the biggest, most profitable companies, had 15,000 followers on Twitter. So every time we went to look at something around BP Deepwater Horizon, the first Google search was all about this one little individual taking down this big company. We then fast forward to what I call the age of advantage. And the age of advantage is sort of roughly 2000 to 2010, where companies said, look, if we are genuinely more socially responsible, then we will actually do better because of that. And Paul is a good friend. He's also, I think, probably doing more in the world than anybody to drive business to a better place. And it's not an easy thing to do. He did something incredibly brave, and the great news for the world of business is it is working. But companies set out to really genuinely gain competitive advantage through this. Which brings me to the bad news point, the age of damage. So from about 2010, we've been hurtling headlong into the age of damage, where every week there is another CEO who does the wrong thing, another company who does the wrong thing. It can even be as simple as an employee who decides to do nasty things to a pizza and post it on YouTube. But there are hundreds and hundreds of examples of how companies now are living in this age of damage where individuals can actually take you down. BP is a great example, News International and the hacking scandal. Why did we know so much about that? Because there were 30,000 emails on computers which allowed the police to know absolutely everything that was going on. Look at WikiLeaks and the NRA. There is no such thing as off the record. There is no such thing as a secret. Anything I say here, can and will be tweeted, and if it's controversial, I will end up in trouble. Romney learned that in the US election. He was addressing a very select group of people, saying that 47% of Americans were actually sponging off the state and, complete dossers and wasters. And sadly, somebody filmed him, put it on YouTube, and that was one of the key moments that lost him that election. You can look at Galliano sitting in a bar not too far from here, launching into an anti-Semitic outburst. Someone films it, puts it on YouTube. In the old world, no one would have known. Maybe someone accusing him in a newspaper. In the new world, he's fired that day. I actually met Sidney Toledano on Friday at the Dior party at Fashion Week in New York, and I said to him, in my book, I write about how brilliant your reaction was, because you instantly came out and said, we will not tolerate behavior like that. And I think it leads us into a couple of the rules for business today. I think the first one is people don't actually expect perfection, but they do expect honesty. And the thing that Lance Armstrong got wrong was, I think we all knew he was taking drugs, but what he did was he so viciously and ruthlessly went after anybody who accused him, totally ruined their reputations and trashed them. And so when he actually was caught, we had no sympathy for him. And I have to say, my favorite tweet of all last year, I do have to share with you, and you talking about Lance Armstrong gives me the opportunity to do that. And the tweet was that Lance Armstrong should be applauded for riding a bike so well on drugs. I tried it once, hit a dog and fell into the canal. Let me just see how I'm doing on time. So I think if you... And the other thing is that the rules of social media are exactly the same as the rules of running a modern business. And it's all about transparency, authenticity, and speed. And you have to be honest, you have to be fast, and you have to move at a speed that is completely different than anything we've ever seen before in the world of business. So the bad news is it's a tough time to be in business, and it's probably the hardest time it's ever been to be a leader, because you have to, on the one hand, keep your shareholders happy who want greater returns, and on the other hand, reduce your carbon footprint. But I think the two good pieces of news and why I think we can be radical optimists is the first one is I genuinely believe that business can be a massive force for good in the world. In fact, I think it is the only thing that can fix the problems. The political model is broken. It's not their fault, but government leaders today, the world's gone global, consumers are global, business is global, the financial system is global, and they're trapped with these local constituencies where they can't actually operate in a global world because they have to do the right thing for France or Britain or Germany or the US or Russia. The NGOs, I think if you look at last century, they had fantastic intentions, but not always great execution. The business world had fantastic execution, but not always great intentions. And I think if we in business, not only is it an opportunity, I'd argue it's an obligation and we won't be able to succeed without it, but if we in business set about trying to drive positive change in the world, we genuinely can change the world. And the good news for me, and we work with 72 of the world's top 100 advertisers, we genuinely are seeing all of those companies being very concerned about their impact on the planet. They understand that people understand that business is needed and business is needed to grow. There's lots of unemployment in the world, but you can grow in the right way. So, I would argue that in the old world, making money and doing good set in separate parts. In the future, if you do not set out to do good, you will not be able to do well. But the new price of doing well is doing good. And so that brings me on to the kind of second and final point as to why I think a lot of this is happening, firstly, and why we can also be radical optimists. And that's a brilliant generation of young people. We're always obsessed with youth and young, and I think every generation says, oh, the young people. But I think there's something very different and unique about this generation of young people. This is the first time in history where the youngest adults actually understand more about what's going on in the world than the older adults. So when, I was a smart 21-year-old, or there are actually some smart 21-year-olds in the room, but for all of us who are a little bit older than 21 now, Yes, we were smart and had interesting ideas, but somebody who was a smart 41-year-old or someone who was a smart 61-year-old was smart and had huge experience. With the digital and social revolution, they understand way more about this thing that is changing the world at a dramatic speed, way more than we do. You know, I was with Zuckerberg a couple of months ago, and just listening to him talking about what he's doing and how he had the idea for the business and what his vision is. And you just see he sees the world in a very different way. So this generation of young people is the most knowledgeable there's ever been because of technology and the democratization of education. They're the most responsible you've ever seen because they see the problems in the world. And they're the most powerful because they get the tools and actually creating the tools to change the world. So it's against that backdrop that we created One Young World. And the idea really came from two things. Firstly, we said, look, if we're going to be telling our clients businesses need to do good, what's your purpose beyond profit? And they turn around and go, yes, but what's yours? We didn't want to go, oh, no, we don't have one. But it's not do what we do, it's do what we say. And then the second thing was we thought, if we can help provide a global platform for these brilliant young people in the world to get more done, to connect across the world and inspire them by bringing in some of the great leaders in the world, then hopefully we can do a bit to contribute to driving business to a better place and driving tangible change in the world. So in simple terms, and we'll show you a video in a minute that explains what One Young World is, and it's very inspirational, so it will wake you all up, and you'll walk out of here as if walking on air. But One Young World, it's an NGO, it's a charity, it's a 501c3 in the US. We bring together every year 1,300 young people from 185 countries. The counselors, as you'll see from the video, are people like Bill Clinton, Kofi Annan, Desmond Tutu, Mohammed Yunus. Business leaders, so global CEO of Unilever, Pullman, global CEO of Barclays, Anthony Jenkins. We've had the global CEO of L'Oreal, Jean-Paul Agon. We've got Richard Branson this year. And they inspire the brilliant young people to drive and affect positive change. And so far, we've got over 350 tangible, concrete projects that have come out of it. And I think the thing that it's taught me, and it's the fourth year in Joburg this year, is that even if we get it wrong, and even if we are not able to drive the change, these people will not go and work for companies who behave in the wrong way, and they will not buy products from companies who behave in the wrong way, and they will drive the world to a better place. So if we can play the video, but just one quick thing before. Jean-Marc didn't actually ask me why I was here. I will answer why I'm here. I'm a Brit, so we tend to be, we'd never ask for anything. And like in the business world, it'll take me about 7 weeks to actually ask a client, possibly for their business. In the One Young world, I ask people for things instantly. So I would love any of you in this room who's inspired by One Young World to get involved. We are 23 delegates short of. We've got 23 places left, so we're nearly at the maximum, but there are still 23 delegates can be sponsored. We've got 185 countries, but there's 196 in the world, according to the UN, so we have 11 countries. But, find me, see me, and we would love more sponsorship, more help, more involvement. And a call out to Unilever, and I think Bruno's still around. They have been our biggest sponsor over the years. But when you see people like Pullman and Agon and how inspired they get by these people, there's really something magic going on. So if we could have a look at the video, please. One of the things I think that is so exciting about One Young World is just the size and scale and number of countries we bring together. The only other major event that brings together more people than that is the Olympic Games.
I understand you have 183 countries here. How do you do it, David?
All of you young people here, you are revolutionary. You want to break the old systems and you want to build something new.
It's almost another United Nations, except that you have stronger voices, you are younger, you are more dynamic, and you probably have something to teach the old generation.
Please give a huge round of applause to President Bill Clinton.
The world is not sustainable, it's too unstable, and it's too unequal. All the big challenges you will face will be in one of those three categories.
We here are all the young leaders in our own rights, and we can achieve what multilateral politics has failed to do.
What we're suffering from is a chronic
lack of leadership.
More people are dying because of obesity than hunger and famine. This is the first time in human history that this has happened.
Nothing can substitute for the impact of all global businesses doing business in the right way.
Businesses that operate in an ethical way will ultimately be more successful.
1 year from today, I will embark on a journey to attempt to walk to the South Pole. We aim to become a symbol for international collaboration on climate change action.
Having courage creates a space for others to be courageous.
There are two most important days in a person's life. The first is the day you were born. The second is the day you find out why.
I cry every time I hear the story of Malala. It really breaks my heart.
So the Taliban attacked Malala because she asked for school. But actually, what Malala was promoting was liberty for women and empowerment for women.
Gender diversity is no longer a female issue. 5,000 people directly impacted by our actions.
I'm optimistic because of the sheer power of change represented in this room.
We've provided solar lighting solutions across 100 villages in India in just over 2 years.
That's how it begins. You are leaders already.
This is how it's going to be. We're going to collaborate, break the system, make a new one.
Believe in what you can do, what you can achieve, and how you can make the world a better place.
Feel the power, and then when you feel it, ask yourself the question, what are you going to do with this power?
Be the one who made it possible.
David, this is just fabulous, fantastic. We would be very honored that someday the One Young World is held in Paris together with INSEAD.
That may happen, you never know. You have to bid.
The idea emerged last year in this very same room when Kate talked about it, this One Young World. And it appeared that maybe some people from INSEAD went there in the past, but never it was formalized. And I told Kate in a burst of joy and optimism last year that we would send one student from INSEAD to the next One Young World in Johannesburg in a few weeks' time. And we opened with the Dean, Peter Zemsky, and Ilian Mihoff, a competition at INSEAD. And we said, students, young generation, whom we talked to at the beginning of this evening, please be applicants to the One Young World. And we're going to select one amongst yourselves. We received 100 applications from young guys from 25 to 30 years old. And when we read it, together with the deans, together with Sven Kado here, member of the board of INSEAD, we said, okay, come on, we can't choose one. So we're going to have two sent to the One Young World. Two students from INSEAD graduating in 2013. And tonight we're here to announce the winners. One is here tonight. She's from Romania, Alma Yatan. Welcome and bravo. The other one is Sylvie Bardone, which we should applause as well, but as a true INSEAD, she's in Philadelphia tonight. Bravo.
Congratulations, you're going to have an amazing time.
David, you have to hand this over.
Okay, so this is a giant ticket which pays for your fare and all of those to take you to One Young World. So well done, congratulations.
Bravo. Alma, we're very, very proud of you. We're very happy to send you there to Johannesburg together with Sylvie. I'm sure that you as a tandem will do well to be the INSEAD ambassadors to the One Young World. And then you will be the One Young World ambassadors back into France, back into the INSEAD world, back into the INSEAD community. Maybe you want to say a few words?
Yeah, actually, hello everyone. Hello to all the ladies and the gentlemen here, dear alumni, and also the students from 13D and 14J. I was announced today that I have to do a speech, and I was thinking, what should I do? It's an immense honor to be part of this forum of One Young World, and it's also even a bigger honor to represent INSEAD. What I want to tell you tonight is one action that I've done, something that I started off in Romania. And can you hear me?
No.
I think you need to stand, or maybe I have a solution for you. Maybe this works.
Are they on? Don't know.
Yes, perfect.
It's always easier when you can actually walk on the stage.
I agree.
And it's called Village Life. So this is one project that I started off in Romania together with a friend of mine about 2.5 years ago. And the main thing that we do is called community-based tourism. So what we do is that we travel in rural Romania, in remote areas, and we find hidden gems of traditional culture. Now, we close partnerships, or as we call it, handshakes with the villagers, so that they would open their houses to accommodate travelers that want to experience what the traditional culture in Romania really is. So this way we were trying to create a source of revenues for people that probably live only off their lands, and at the same time to give an opportunity for people who come into Romania to actually see what traditional culture is all about. What I'm really happy to tell you is that through this small action that we've done, not only that we've encouraged people to become more entrepreneurial and actually do their own mini hotels in their spare rooms, but also the fact that I traveled after finishing INSEAD in July. I went back to Romania to see one of the families, and they're much more appreciative of what traditional Romanian culture is. So right now, this lady that I was talking to, she's looking around the village to meet people that want to sell their traditional objects, because she wants to gather everything. She wants to make sure that she keeps it, to show it to people, and feel proud about her origin. Now, the reason why I'm telling you this is because I think that taking this small action really empowered me to think bigger. So I'm really happy to go to the One Young World Forum, with a couple of the ideas that I've created with some friends of mine in INSEAD, and hopefully getting them at a higher level, at a global level. So thank you again for this opportunity. I'm really looking forward to be an INSEAD ambassador in the One Young World Forum, and I'm looking forward to meeting you again and seeing that more and more of you people and of us people here take smaller actions that take into larger actions that can actually change the world. Thank you.
Excellent.
Alma, thank you. Thank you very much for this. And of course, Alma will be on stage together with Sylvie next year to talk about this wonderful experience.
Can I just say a huge thank you to you for your support? It's really appreciated. Massively.
Thank you.
So
Thanks to you. And big round of applause. Thank you, David. Thank you.